Koenigsegg, Bavaria, lights about to come on at the oldest artificial ice track in the business. We are here for the fourth race of the Viessmann FIBT Skeleton Women's World Cup, and just down below the track is the lake that gave Koenigsegg its name. Hello everybody, I'm Martin Haven. Welcome to the second and deciding run of this fourth leg of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Let's take a look at what happened in the first run. This is the oldest track, but still one of the most difficult for drivers. Short start played into the hands of Switzerland's Marina Gilardoni, a brand new push record, beating her own mark down to 491. And she had a really strong run as well to beat last week's winner, Maria Oliver, into third place. She's in with a chance of her first World Cup medal. After a bit of an off-form season, 10th, 8th and 7th so far are her race results this year. Also a chance of a medal for Anja Huber-Selbach, 2008 world champion. The girl from Bischofswiesen, just down the road, would love to take a medal here on home ice. 3600s in front of her, though, is the woman who won the first race of the season in Lake Placid, skipped out on Calgary because she was not well enough to slide, and then took silver last weekend on her return in Altenburg. It's the Olympic champion, Lizzie Arnold, who leads by a big margin here in Koenigsegg. Well, let's take a look at the way they finished after the first heat. Lizzie Arnold, Anja Huber-Selbach and Marina Gilardoni, the top three, but Maria Oliver just a few fractions out of a medal position. And then we've got several battles further back. Janine Flock of Austria in fifth place, and Jane Channell of Canada. Great first run from her in sixth position. Well, there she is getting ready for her second heat. World Cup leader Tina Hermann there of Germany, only in seventh place, and Ben Sanford, ninth position for her teammate Sophia Griebel, and that's really disappointing for those two German youngsters.
Yeah, I think we're all expecting a little bit more from them in the Koenigsegg race today. They've been here a lot, they know the track very well, and the Germans would be hoping for medals here.
Well, they're going to have to worry about exactly where things went wrong. They didn't have major problems, so maybe like some of the other athletes, they're going to make slight adjustments to the sled, hunting for a bit more speed and a little less control maybe.
Yeah, here you can see the athletes working on their sleds during the break between the first and the second heat. The park for May, where the sleds are held, is open for 10 minutes, and during that time the athletes can go in there and they can check the sleds, make sure everything's okay, check the runners to make sure there's no nicks.
You can see, even though you've got nation versus nation here and athlete versus athlete, lots of laughter and fun in the skeleton business. We talked about this with Eika Nakayama of Japan. This is not a sport you get into for glory. This is a sport you get into because it's addictively fun and fast.
It is. It's a very unique feeling to be sliding and racing down the track, an ice track. There's not a lot of money in the sport, not a lot of glory. You really do it for the love.
20 down to 1. Top sleds just about to hit the ice here in Koenigsegg in Bavaria to decide our medals. Getting ready to get the second and deciding heat underway here in Bavaria. First of our 20 sliders in heat 2, Maria Mazalou of Romania. The young Romanian making it into the second heat by just 400ths of a second. Edging out Russia's Svetlana Vasilieva. Martin Haven alongside me. Olympic slider Ben Sanford from New Zealand, and Ben, she just squeezed in. That's all she needed to do.
Yeah, she really did. She had a difficult week here in training and put down an okay run in the first heat to get into the top 20 and get that second run, and she'll be looking to improve again in this run.
Well, she's got a very quick start, neat and tidy through the S-bends, little wriggle onto the straight.
Yeah, into the bend away and taking that hit on the left, and a little bit too much maybe, and takes another hit at the bottom of the bend away, which is going to cost her a little bit of time. Wide high there in the second pressure, and Kreisel quite high in the third pressure. Just misses that wall somehow coming out of Kreisel.
Well, she's going to be our race leader down at the bottom. She will set the mark that everybody else will try and beat. And it's the aggregate of the two runs that count for victory. The quickest of both runs, or the time of both runs put together, will see the winner decided. She comes across the line, 54.02. You'll have to take my word for it. Got a little issue in the graphics department. But 54.02, her first run, Ben Sanford down the track, 54.02.
Yeah, and that run looked a little bit better again than her first run. Just feeling a little bit more comfortable on the track, built some confidence in that first heat and was able to somehow get out of Kreisel without hitting that right wall. I'm not quite sure how. She came out very early, but just had the angle right, or maybe not right, but here she is in Kreisel. 3 pressures in Kreisel, and you really need to get the timing of the stairs right. And you can just see her starting to steer here as the sled rises, maybe not steering enough, a bit too high on the second pressure. The sled comes down.
Well, there is your race leader, Maria Mazulu of Romania. I got the wrong time, 53.62, so she was 4/10 quicker in the second heat, and it looked like a much tidier run. But also, Ben, the sun's gone behind the mountains, the temperature is dropping, so the ice will be a little harder, maybe a little faster as well. Next up, Rose McGrandle of Great Britain. Really strong start from Rose, 7th quickest getaway. Disaster below the Kreisel, though. She'll be desperate to try and tidy that up, and if she does, she could pick up a handful of places here.
Yeah, Rose was quick in training here during the week, and disappointing first heat for her. She'll be looking to pick up a lot of time in a lot of places here.
5:05 start, quicker even than her first 5:07. 1700s in the lead.
Nice line here through the snake curves, nice and high in snake 3. Takes a bit of a tap there coming out of S4, and that lines her out for the right. Too much work and skidding a little bit in the flat bend away there.
But now, if she hasn't changed her runners from the first heat, is she going to have less control now than in the first heat?
It really depends what sort of runners she has in. I don't know what her choice of runners was for the day. And it depends on what sort of bend or rock she's put into the runners as well.
6,700s up, 1:12.9 is the speed below the Kreisel. 70.1 miles an hour. It's a much tidier run, and she's 1.25 seconds quicker. 53.88 slide, 53.88 in the first heat. Well, okay, that still would have left her about 18, actually. Only one, hang on, I'm getting the wrong time. 52.51, I'm reading the wrong line because the timing screen has inverted itself for some reason. So 52.5 compared to 53.8, 1.3 seconds quicker than her first heat.
Yeah, and if that was in the first heat, that would have put her in 4th place equal.
Yeah.
So good second run from Rose. I would expect her to pick up a lot of places here.
Yeah, and that, again, that's just so frustrating because you get the one in that you should have had in the first heat as well, but that's the sport. It's got to be both runs.
Yeah, it really is about being consistent and consistently good over the 2 heats.
So Rose McGrandle finishes with a much better run, and she might need the jacket on and some salopettes to keep her warm there. She's in the leader's box. Eiko Nakayama of Japan, 21st in the World Cup rankings, 21st at the start, and she finished in 18th place, just 300s faster than Rose McGrandle, and surely this will be the first scout that the British girl picks up.
Eiko, really one of the veterans of the World Cup circuit, been sliding for a long time now and keeps coming back year after year. Mistakes at the top of the track there, and that's really going to cost you a lot of time down the bottom. If you want to build speed and gain time, you really need to be smooth and just carry on being smooth the whole way down.
The time's in the red. She's gone from 35 to 5500s behind Rose McGrandle.
Skidding and struggling with the line and the bend away.
2Ks down on the British girl who leads the race at the moment.
Just making it through the chicane or flick-flacks or doodles or lots of different names for that part of the track.
1:10.6 again, 2.3 kilometers now down on Rose McGrandle. A little wilder ride at the bottom of the track. Eiko Nakayama will be in front of Maria Mazulu, so she will slip only 1 place. I think Rose is now going to start to look like the Ducours brothers because she's so far ahead of those girls who ended up in front of her in the first heat.
Yeah, she really could pick up 5 or 6 places here.
There's Dennis, the Aussie coach, helping out with the sled.
Here you see Eiko coming out of Kreisel, and you can see her head. She's trying to steer and hold the sled on the corner with her head and with her knee. Just touches that right wall, but it's not enough to throw her too badly across. And swinging around a bit in the chicane there, it's going to be losing time. You want to be smooth through there. But it wasn't tragic in any way. It wasn't too bad.
Photographers down there getting that shot exiting the Kreisel, including some US sliders who are here from Europa Cup. They'll be racing in Eagles. Just arrived yesterday. Next up is Takaka Omukai of Japan. 14th fastest starter, 17th at the bottom of the run. the newcomer to Japan's World Cup team. Almost no noise at all from the spikes at the top of the track. Does that mean the ice is still slightly soft there in the shade?
Yeah, a bit of a bump as she went on to the first corner there. You don't want to go too early into the first corner, you don't want to go too late. One of the things about sliding skeleton, you really need to think about the entrances that you want into the corner. You have to think about how you want to manipulate the pressures in the corner, where you think you can pick up speed, and how you want to steer. Struggling a little bit in the bend away. Here she is on the Kreisel, using her foot to steer, keep the sled down. Reasonably smooth line there through the chicane. Just trying to build that speed for the bottom of the track. Coming around the new Echo corner, which is nowhere near as much fun as the old Echo corner, and starting to go uphill here towards the finish line.
So why is it not as much fun?
Well, they changed the track a few years ago and they extended the track, and the new Echo corner at the bottom it's much longer now. It used to be quite tight and used to be really high pressure. You'd go in there and you'd feel like the life was being squeezed out of you, and now it's just a little bit of nothing. You know, you're sliding around. There's still G-forces and speed, but not as much fun. Here you see her loading onto the sled, getting ready. The grooves finish there, and you come out of the grooves. It's not the best exit of the groove for her. It just throws her a little bit to the right. And here she is she takes that tap on the left, but it's not hard enough, and it just sort of traps her a little bit on the left wall. Yeah, and too much skidding at the bottom there, going sideways, and that's going to cost you time.
A little bit of a ping-pong run down the bend away for Takako Umukai. Rose McGrandle of Great Britain still leads. Karina Meyer next up. Well, Karina had a 4800ths advantage over Rose McGrandle from the first heat. And I'm not sure that that's going to be enough to keep the 19-year-old from Austria in the lead.
See some of the athletes just struggling there in the right groove. You can pick the left or the right groove, and the right groove just seems to be pushing the athletes to the right wall as they come out.
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because in the first heat, almost everybody used that right groove, and they just came straight out of it. And so maybe they've just recut it slightly differently in between the two runs.
Yeah, and so the athletes that are coming after these athletes are going to have to be aware of that, and maybe start steering as they come out of the groove so you don't hit that right wall, because it could get worse.
Like most things with ice, it's not going to get much better.
Using her toe and Kreisel, but nice line there through the chicane.
300s behind now from 3200s up. 112.7, Rose McGrandle 112.9 there, so she's holding the speed nicely. Still just a few hundreds in it, 500s away at the line. Goodness me, that was a really improved run from Karina Meyer. Her first heat was a 53.40, that was a 53.04.
Yeah, that was a nice run. Nice and smooth in the main parts of the track. A little bit of a problem in the bend away, but overall, Martin Rettel, the coach, looks happy, and Karina should be happy with that as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Here she comes out of S4, lining up for the straight, just using her right toe there to try and steady the sled. You can see the runner's just breaking away a little bit. In Kreisel, in the first pressure in Kreisel, 3 pressures in the corner. Start steering maybe a little bit early in that second pressure. Gets quite high, but it's good enough for a good exit.
So Karina Meyer just 400s, 500s behind Rose McGrandle. 5 down, 15 to go. Savannah Griebel at the top of the track here in Koenigsegg, Bavaria. Heat 2, 4th race of the Viessmann FIBT Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven and Ben Sanford watching the action. World Cup rookie Savannah Griebel, 15th after the first heat.
This is Savannah's first time on the track here in Koenigsegg. It's always difficult to come here and be on the track the first time when it's a World Cup race. I think she'll be pretty happy with 15th after the first heat.
She had a very untidy straightaway. I saw her yesterday in training. She came almost all the way down with her legs really quite spread apart for stability. And it was actually her quickest run of the weekend, of the week so far.
So far, she's had a little bit of trouble at the top of the track. Line out of S4 into the bend-away is okay, but just struggling at the bottom of the bend-away there a little bit. Setting herself up for Kreisel here. quite low there and then a little bit high.
Still just 700s in front of Rose McGrandle, who was 19th after a disastrous first heat. And Sophia Griebel drops behind. 700s back, that leaves her in third place. Karina Meyer is second, 500s behind Rose McGrandle. So third place, Rose McGrandle picks up another spot. So starting to recuperate some of the time lost in the first heat. Again, for Savannah, 53.36 the first heat, 53.13, so quarter-second improvement.
Yeah, the track seems like it's a little bit faster for the second heat. Here we see Savannah at the start. She's using the right groove like a lot of the athletes are. Loads onto the sled, gets into position. And you can see how when she comes out of the groove, it just sort of pushes her to the right there. Here she is in the bend away. Nice and relaxed. You can see her eyes looking to where she wants to go. Just gets stuck on the left-hand wall there, and then eventually, as the bend away bends, it pushes her into the right wall.
It really is, when you look down the track, really is the chicane coming up towards you. Next up is Lynette Predika. 5:13 getaway for her, only the 14th fastest start. She ended up coming down in 14th position. After training, she was saying all she's learned this week is how not to slide down the Koenigsegg track. She had to take a toe steer there. She's one of the lighter sliders. That really did bump her across the track. Yeah,
it really did. And so the athletes to come are really going to have to watch that. Her coaches would have told her about that, and so she would have been aware that that was something that she might have to deal with.
Well, they do re-prepare the grooves between the first heat and the second, but you'd think the forerunners might have got bumped across, and they might have seen that, and just, it always seems to be where the groove ends and comes back up into the ice. It's a little abrupt there. 1:17.0, very good speed into the Kreisel. Only Rose McGrandle was faster. She's still a quarter second in front. This is a better run from Lauder as well than her first effort. 1:11.2, good speed.
Nice line coming out of Echo and heading uphill.
Will she have the lead from Rose McGrandle? She doesn't! 200ths of a second. Wow, that was close. Very tight. Top three covered by 500ths of a second. Rose McGrandle, Lynette Predika, and Karina Meyer. And we still have 13 sleds to go. Well, every trip then is a learning experience, isn't it?
It sure is, and here you can see the groove again. We have the groove so the athletes can push the sled in a straight line. She comes out of the groove, and unfortunately for her, it just throws her to the right wall a bit. And so immediately when you leave the groove, you have to start steering.
Rose McGrandle, Great Britain, is our race leader. 19th after the first heat. Next up is Joska LeConte, who was in 13th position after the first heat. New livery on the underside of her Bromley sled for this week. And for the rest of the season, I'm assuming.
Joska's chosen the left-hand groove here. See what happens on the exit. Pushes her a little bit right as well, but not as abruptly as the athlete using the right-hand groove.
The reason that the skeleton sleds aren't in two grooves is they've got a narrower track than the bobsleigh, and the bobsleigh, those grooves are cut as standard for the bobsleigh, right?
Yeah, that's exactly right. So we have to choose between the left and the right. Joska had a good first run here. She'll be really hoping to hold her place. Using her toe to steer.
1:18.5, really good speed, fastest so far, 7/10 up, so she's regained all the advantage she had at the start. 1:13.8, quicker than Rose McGrandle. This is where Rose's time in the leader box comes to an end. 7,600 up, she'll be nearly 9/10 clear by the line. That's a really good run from Joska LeConte, and that might make her move her a little further up the order as well. Well, from a national team of one, she'll be very happy with that.
Absolutely. Joska's been on the World Cup for a long time, and it's great to see her doing well and putting down two good runs here in Koenigsegg. Here's Joska coming out of S4. You can see her looking towards where she wants to touch on the left-hand side. Takes the touch there, and then from there you really have to try and thread the needle and get through the bottom of the bend away. Just trying to balance on the sled there and get that right line.
So there is your new race leader. 12 to go. Joska LeConte from the Netherlands with a 52.48. That would have left her 100th in front of third place after the first run. Next up then is Laura Dees, second fastest starter. She's already been a World Cup medalist this season. She took the silver in Calgary. That's a little much to ask, I think, from 12th after the first heat. If she can get back into top 10 points, that will help her World Cup standings no end.
Already started with
4.93, that's another really fast getaway. That's quicker than the track record was when they started the competition an hour and a half ago.
Great start from Laura. Going to do a little bit of work at the top, but nice and high there in snake 3. And that's going to swing you through S4, give you that speed that you want in the bend away.
Lots of skids down the straight though. That's her chin on the ice. She's got a big bit of tape on the chin piece of the helmet.
Just misses the wall coming out of Kreisel. It's a reasonable line through the chicane.
This is going to be very close at the line. 1:10.9, 3 kilometers an hour down. She's going to be behind, and she's not going to find that speed at the bottom. Second place for Laura Dees, ahead of teammate Rose McGrandle, but Joska LeConte moves one spot closer to the top 10.
Joska picks up another spot.
Yes, she does. 52.81 for Laura Dees.
Here you see Laura coming out of snake 4. Chin very close to the ice, maybe on the ice there. Skidding a little bit in the straight and just using the foot to correct the sled. Coming out of Kreisel here, just quite high. Misses that right-hand wall, but she gets quite a decent line through the chicane, not getting thrown around too much.
She offers her congratulations to Joska LeConte, who remains in the leader's box. 11 sleds still to come. This is Elena Nikitina of Russia. Elena now 22 years old. Bronze medalist last weekend in Altenburg, her first World Cup race of the season. It was a good race for the Russians last week. She was in the bronze medal position. Her teammate Maria Oliver was the race winner.
Yeah, Elena, Olympic bronze medalist as well. So young, so fast at the start. Good slider, good equipment.
Well, only 22, she's likely to get faster before she gets slower. 4.97, that's another outstanding start.
Nice line into S1. Gets off S1 at the right time. Nice middle line coming out of S4. Takes that tap and then just working to thread the needle at the bottom of the bend away. First part of Kreisel goes uphill, and it's important when you get into Kreisel not to be too soon to push that really high there.
Losing time to Joska LeConte. 1300s is the advantage. She won't have much of it left. She's behind as she comes to Echo. 1:08.3 is not enough speed. A long way shy of the 1:13.8 that Joska LeConte got on her Bromley sled. That's a massive result. 53.26 slide for Elena Nikitina. That's the first athlete who's come down slower than their first heat. A big result for Joska LeConte. She's now on the fringes of the top 10. Picks off the Olympic bronze medalist.
Yeah, Elena won't be too happy with that run. You can see her and Kreisel just too high in that third pressure. You really need to steer really hard in that third pressure, and she's maybe hit the roof there or got very close to it.
Right up in the frost.
Comes down, she's using her left foot to just try and save herself there. Gets bumped, but not bumped too bad. But it's cost her a lot of time at the bottom of the track.
Little wry smile, at least she wasn't in podium contention. Joska LeConte leads from Laura Dees and Elena Nikitina. 10 still to come here in Koenigsegg, Bavaria. Well, lots of green and brown on the mountains around here, Ben. Very little in terms of white, but the forecast is that will change before we open the shades tomorrow morning, right?
Yeah, the forecast is for a lot of snow tomorrow. It'll be interesting to see how the races for the rest of the weekend go.
Well, it was bright, clear and sunny this morning. It is now very cloudy overhead, very grey, low scudding cloud base coming over the mountains. We're surrounded on three sides by Austria. This is a sort of little bubble of Bavaria that comes out down this Alpine valley. But what about the transition? Altenburg and Koenigsegg both require a lot of driving. I mean, we're not got a gliders track here, but how does this feel in comparison?
They're both very different tracks, but both quite technical at the same time. There's maybe a little more finesse involved in Koenigsegg. You really need to sort of massage the sled and roll with the sled in parts of the track here. Also, the start is very different between Altenburg and Koenigsegg. You have the long, flat start in Altenburg, and you have a short, steep start here in Koenigsegg.
Well, don't forget, women's bobsleigh coming up later on this afternoon, early this evening, local time. So if you're watching in North America, then it'll be a quite sensible time in the morning for you, which is always good news. We're so nice to you. We really are. Also gets a chance for fans to come out here after work and after school on a Friday. And that's all part of it. Bring the sport to the fans. This is a great sliding town, Berchtesgaden, and they love to come out and watch the racing. If you want to find out a little bit more about the sport, go to FIBT.com. You can visit our Facebook page. Lots of interviews with the athletes, photos, videos from this race weekend. Just back at your shot there in the blue cap, John Farrow. You see him slide tomorrow in the men's skeleton race. He's down here watching the action with the fans in the bleachers. The magnificent start house here in Koenigsegg, Bavaria. We're halfway through the deciding second heat. Race 4 of the Women's Skeleton World Cup. Martin Haven alongside me. Ben Sanford watching Lynette Predika, the Canadian who was in 10th place after the first heat, trying to defend that lead over Joska LeConte.
Lynette will definitely be wanting a top 10 finish here. She won a Europa Cup race here at the start of the season. She likes this track. Doesn't have the fastest start, but she's a good slider. She'll be relying on picking up speed at the bottom of the track, so might give up a little bit of time at the top, but wants to gain it back at the bottom.
Well, only 2 Canadians sliding here in the women's race, though all 3 are here. Elizabeth Vache is not racing. Clacked her head on the ice quite hard in the race in Altenburg last weekend. Bit concussed. She will be racing next weekend, though, in St. Moritz.
Lynette had a very good bend away. Was able to just had the right line after the tap on the left. Was able to relax and just let it run. Good line through Kreisel.
Very good speed. Second fastest we've seen. Second fastest below the Kreisel as well. Can she find it back, or will Joska LeConte hang on? She does. 52.78 for the Dutch girl. So, Joska LeConte guaranteed a top 10 finish. I'm now going to have to try and start finding out what her best World Cup result was, because I think we are in danger of entering that territory.
I think this is Joska's best ever finish, a top 10 result in a World Cup.
And she is still looking like she might stay in the leader's box.
Here we see Lynette and Kreisel. First pressure, she's using her toe a little bit there in the second pressure just to keep the sled down. Again in the third pressure. Quite high, and she just very narrowly misses that right-hand wall.
But the steering effect puts her into a skid. There's Joska LeConte leading with 9 to go. And remember, we talked after the first heat, the gap between Joska LeConte and Annie O'Shea in 8th was 0.2 of a second. We're right in the middle of that. Sophia Griebel is the next potential target. Now, 9th place, you've got to say, Ben Sanford, she underperformed in the first heat. Has she been able to make any changes in her mind of what she's going to do, or her sled? The next minute will tell us.
Absolutely, like maybe not the best first run. She'll be wanting to put down a really good run here and pick up some places in the second heat.
1900's the advantage, 0.2 over Joska LeConte in the Netherlands.
Sophia looking nice and smooth through the top of the track. The Germans really want to be on the podium. They want good results on German tracks.
She had 3800s over Joska. She's got 19, half that margin going on to the Kreisel. 1:18.7, best speed we've seen.
Nice line through the chicanes there.
Opening the gap up again. She must outperform the Dutch girl here. This is home ice. 1:14.6, best speed, 71.5 miles an hour. She's going to take the lead away from Joska LeConte. 52.20 slide, and that would have left her just 14 hundredths off race leader Lizzie Arnold in the first heat. Like Rose McGrandle, like Joska LeConte, we've seen a slide that if she performed that in the first heat, would have transformed her race.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a really good second run from her. Did the key things on the track well, and that's going to build your speed as you get to the lower parts of the section, and then the lower part of the track, you're going to pick up a lot of time. Here you see Sophia coming out of Kreisel, close to that right wall, but it gives her a good line here through the chicane. Nice and relaxed through the chicane and into the left-hand corner there.
Well, she got a really good exit off S4, carried it all the way down the straight and to the finish line. Great speed from Sophia Griebel. She leads with 8 to go. First of whom is the USA's Annie O'Shea from Port Jefferson Station, New York. Her home track, Lake Placid, of course, the first race of the season. She was 9th there, so only top 10 finish of the season, though. 5:07 again. She's got great speed at the start. She can hook it up here, Ben. This could be a big run for her.
Yeah, she'll be looking to pick up a few places here as well. Skidding a little bit in the bend away and takes that hill on the left-hand side. Threads the needle at the bottom, which is really important.
1:17.8, very good speed. Gaps down, though, to 1100s. Oh, and it all goes away in the Kreisel. Lost nearly 0.2 of a second just in the Kreisel.
Around Echo corner at the bottom of the track, and now you're heading uphill.
No speed on board at all, 110.7. Only 2 sleds have gone slower. She drops 3 spots.
Sophia and Joska picked up a spot there.
Yeah. And they're 0.4 of a second apart and change, so that's a big loss of time by Annie O'Shea. She was less than 0.2 out of the top 5.
Yeah, and here you see her in Kreisel, and she went into Kreisel leading and came out behind. Quite low there coming into the third pressure. Around Echo corner here. Echo's right at the bottom of the track by the lake. From Echo, you're just going uphill, and she touches here on the right. You can't really pick up any time after Echo, but you can lose a lot of time.
It's a big smile from Annie O'Shea of the USA, but it is Sophia Griebel of Germany, our leader. Tina Hermann has had the best result by a German woman so far this season. Bronze medal in her count after Calgary. She is our World Cup points leader. She has yet to win a race. That's what a topsy-turvy season we're having. 3 different races, 3 different winners so far.
Tina would have been disappointed with her first run. So the second heat here is really important for her. She was fast in training, very fast in training, and she'll be looking to put down a fantastic heat here.
5:23, that's her Achilles heel. Only 17th fastest out of 21 starters. So she's giving away well over a quarter second to the top of the field. In fact, she's only 100th in front.
Really nice and smooth through the S-curves.
It's all coming undone. And that's her problem in the first heat as well. She got straight all wrong, hit it all the way down.
Nice line out of Kreisel through the chicane.
This might be enough to put her back in front of Sophia Griebel, but this is nothing near like enough to get her into the medals. 2100s back, it's all gone. She might even drop behind Joska LeConte. She doesn't. But that's not what she wanted, even remotely. 52.5 would have left her 100th off third place in the first heat, but the track is quicker. There was more speed to be had than she found, Ben, and the straightaway is where it all went.
Yeah, here you see her in the bend away, the straightaway. Takes that hit, but it's not strong enough to push her across and get that line through the bottom of the track, so it just keeps her on the left-hand wall, and then as the track bends, she gets pushed away further, and that just pushes you right across into that right-hand side.
Well, she was out training a lot of the men as well, but the yellow vest hasn't brought her much luck. Sophia Griebel is our race leader. 6 to go here in Koenigsegg. Tina Hermann lies second for Germany. Joska LeConte in third position. Canada's Jane Channell, top 6 position potential here. Really strong start from her. And in her second ever World Cup race, a really, really nice, neat and tidy slide for the first effort. Martin Haven alongside me, Ben Sanford, watching the deciding slides here in Koenigsegg.
Jane's a good athlete, good start.
Oh, look at that, 5:03 first heat, 4:95, nearly a tenth of a second better.
Yeah, great start from her. That sets you up really well on top of the track.
How much does that speak of great confidence after that first run?
Yeah, she might have been a little bit disappointed with her push in the first heat. Steering a little bit too much there in the bend away to try and get that perfect line. Takes a bit of tap going into Kreisel. Wide high in the second pressure.
3 kilometres now, slow into Kreisel. Not going to hang on in front of the German girls. The question is, how far will she drop? She'll be in the red next time. There she is. 1:07.5. Good speed there is 1:13, 1:14. She could drop behind Annie O'Shea. In fact, she drops to 8th position. Whoa, that's a tough ride. Well, she went off all guns blazing. Her first heat a 52.7. That was a 53.6. Then that's about as disappointing a second run as you're going to have without really making a complete mess of the S's.
Yeah, that's going to be really disappointing for Jane. Really good push, but it all seemed to go wrong for her in Kreisel. Here she is coming out of Kreisel, and she's high, hits that right-hand wall, just knocks her out of position on the sled, and then the flick-flacks are just going to be really difficult from then on. Skidding around, hits that last bit of the flick-flacks, and that just throws her across into the left-hand corner, and that just bleeds all your time away.
Top 5 now here in Koenigsegg. The Chrome Dome of Austria's Janine Flock. She currently lies in 3rd in the World Cup standings. 3rd in the season opener in Lake Placid, 4th in Calgary, only 12th in Altenburg. But now she looks like returning potentially to top 4 form. She is just 2 tenths away from Maria Oliver in 4th spot. That's a good start. 5:12 first heat, 5:09 in the second.
Just having to work a little bit out of the groove there. Nice line through S2 into S3.
Reigning European champion, won the title on this track last year in February.
Skidding a little bit on the straight. She gets through the bottom of the bend away without touching the wall.
Still has a lead at great speed. 1:18.3 is the second fastest we've seen.
Nice line coming out of Kreisel.
Gap is creeping down a little over Sophia Griebel, who had 1:14.6 on board at the bottom. This could be very close. And she's not going to find it anymore. Uphill to the line, dips her head, just a tenth behind. But Sophia Griebel climbs a little higher back up the order. Well, Sophia Griebel, 2nd in the World Cup standings coming into this race. Still needs a couple of places to overhaul teammate Tina Hermann, potentially. They're only 1 spot apart at the moment.
Here you see Janine at the start coming out of the grooves, and the groove just throws her to the right-hand side a little bit. Touches the wall there, which redirects the sled. She's using her toes. You really want to be smooth out of the groove, and so it's unfortunate for the athletes when the groove isn't cooperating with you and you can't get that line. Here she is out of S4 and a little bit of trouble there. You want to come out of S4 and like let the sled run, but she hits the right wall. You want to take that hit on the left, but not on the right.
Big smiles from our European champion. European Championships this year coming up in La Plagne, France. In a couple of weeks' time, 3 weeks' time, in fact, 2 weeks' time. Next up for Russia, Maria Orlova. First time ever a World Cup race winner a week ago in Altenburg in Germany.
Nice position on the sled, head down, feet together, looking relaxed. She'll be confident after last week and she'll think she can get onto the podium here. And she can with a good run.
She was over 4 tenths ahead of Sophia Griebel from the first heat. It's already up to 6,500s. Her eyes, as you say, Ben, will be on the podium in the medals, but a skiddy bend away.
Yeah, skiddy bend away and a little bit of a hit at the bottom. Good Kreisel so far.
Griebel was 118.7 there.
Bit of a touch at the bottom part of the flick flack. It's going to be close at the bottom here.
Griebel 114.6. So is this going to be good enough to put her in the lead? Will it be enough to take a medal? She leads by 0.04 of a second. Wow, so that means Orlova and Griebel effectively are almost as one. Any slip from Marina Gilardoni, and Maria Orlova will be back in the medals. And any slip from Anja Huber, maybe Orlova and Griebel will be back in. Wow, what a close race this is. 1800s cover the top 4. 400s cover the top 2. Maria Orlova just found enough speed at the bottom, but only just.
Yeah, here you see her sliding through the bend away, taking that hit on the left, and with that hit, you want to set up for the bottom of the bend away and thread the needle. Just working a little bit there to keep off that right wall. Here in the flick flacks, just having a little bit of trouble, but enough to keep her position.
There's the smile from Maria Orlova. Sophia Griebel in second, just discussing with Annie O'Shea, comparing notes on disappointments and otherwise. Next up, top 3, Marina Gilardoni. Brand new start record in the first heat. Could this be her first World Cup medal? .495. 491 in the first heat was the new record.
Very fast start. Nice line out of the groove too.
But only 300s over Maria Orlova. She has to be perfect now.
Straight through the bottom of the bend away.
117.2, a whisker quicker than Maria Orlova. Exeter Kreisel will decide the medals. Oh, 100th in it. Just about the same as Orlova. 114.6 is the speed. 109.8, that's it. She's out of the medals.
Heading uphill towards the finish line here.
Wow, 3 tenths back in the bottom part of the track. And that's a real shame. Only the 11th fastest slide. It all came unstitched at the bottom bend. And she is out of the medals, down to 6th place with 2 to go.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate for her. She had a chance for her first World Cup medal there. Coming out of Kreisel, and she's low and she's tracking sideways. And that's just going to push her late into these flick flacks. And then skidding through the bottom there and losing time.
Well, the medal will come, of that we can be certain, but just not today. Maria Orlova back on the podium. So, can Anja Huber take her first World Cup medal since, I'm not quite sure, for a while, certainly of this season. Second after the first heat, 3600s behind Lizzie Arnold, and only 900s advantage over Maria Orlova. But Ben, of anybody, she probably knows this track as well as any slider here today, so she really has got to come out and perform now.
Absolutely. Anja grew up around here. She started sliding luge on this track as a young kid. Switched to skeleton. She's been sliding skeleton here for maybe the last 11 years. Had hundreds of runs down this track.
This is the world home of luge. 5:03, she means business. 700s quicker than her first start.
Nice line into S1. That'll set you up in S2 and then get that height in S3. Looking very smooth so far. A little bit sideways there.
Wriggling down the straight. Now she's picked up the lead. 1:17.4 she needs. 1:18.1, very good speed indeed. Anja Huber on target for medal at the moment. Gets through the doodles. First really good run through there in a while. Trickles through, 700s up. You can hear the track announcer getting very excited. She's going to be in the medals. 700ths of a second isn't much, but surely she's going to be there. 1500s at the line. Guaranteed at least a silver. Yes. Finally, Anja Huber-Selbach, 10th, 8th and 7th her results this year. Now at least a silver medal.
That's great work from Anja. 2 good runs today. And she's extremely happy about that. A lot of relief for Anja.
She is getting her mojo back. Only 8th in the World Cup rankings. Her teammates lie 1st and 2nd.
Anja here coming out of the S-curves. You can see her looking to where she wants to take that tap on the left-hand side. Using her foot a little bit. But she taps and has a good bend away.
Well, 9 starts so far this season for the German women's skeleton team. Only 1 medal. Now they have at least 2 medals. What about Lizzie Arnold? She's had 2. She won in Lake Placid. She was 2nd last week in Altenburg. She led after the first heat by 3600ths. First start 5:07, second start 5:06. Can the Olympic champion rack up win number 2 here?
Good start from Lizzie, and Lizzie just looks so relaxed on this thing. Very confident slider. Nice height in S3. Bit of a touch in the bend away. A bit of problems in the bottom of the bend away.
And still 1:18.1, as quick as almost anybody into the Kreisel.
Smooth line coming out of Kreisel.
Half a second clear of Anja Huber-Selbach. 1:13.2, not quite as quick as the Germans at the bottom. Doesn't matter, she is 6/10ths up. She's going to win going away from Anja Huber-Selbach. A 52.18 slide for victory. Lizzie Arnold wins her 2nd race of the season. 2 gold medals and a silver this year for the Olympic champion in her 3 starts. But Anja Huber looks absolutely delighted to be on the podium here in Bavaria, just a few miles from her hometown of Bischofswiesen.
Yeah, great result for Anja Huber. Difficult start to the season, and she'll just be over the moon about what's happened today.
Well, Lizzie Arnold missed out on the race in Calgary after a dizzy spell at the end of the race in Lake Placid. Nothing wrong with that, though. Hello to the Arnolds back home in Kent. Sister Katie will be watching, and Mum and Dad as well.
Lizzie again just showing what a world-class athlete she is.
And the thrill never goes, the fun never goes, does it?
No, it doesn't, and it shouldn't. You should be enjoying what you're doing here.
Boy, does she. Lizzie Arnold wins from Anja Huber-Selbach and Maria Oliver, her 2nd consecutive podium. That's something Maria's never done before either. Well, like Martins Ducours, Lizzie Arnold does make this look really straightforward. Makes you think you can do it. And that's what great sportsmen and sportswomen always do, right?
Yeah, you're exactly right. Skeleton's not easy, but she makes it look easy. You're sliding on ice, there's G-forces, there's a lot of things going on, a lot of things you have to control, and she makes all of that look easy, manages everything really well.
73 miles an hour, head first, chin on the ice. There's some speed there as well. That's a heck of a rush. Lizzie Arnold wins from Anja Huber-Selbach and Maria Oliver. Sophia Griebel just out of the medals, but 4th place after only 9th in the first heat. That's a really good run from her. There are the rest of your finishers. Race 4 of the Viessmann FIBT Women's Skeleton World Cup.
Hier an
Well, again, the comparison, I think, is a reasonable one to Martin's two course, is that, and again I mentioned in the first heat, Gregor Staley, that natural fluidity that just makes it look like there is nothing going on at all.
Yeah, and that's when, in any sport, you can see that an athlete is really on their game, when they're making it look easy. We've seen a lot of contrasts in the sliders today. We've seen a lot of athletes have problems in the bend away, problems on the Exeter Kreisel, and Lizzie comes down and she doesn't. She makes it look relatively easy.
Anya, very happy. You saw Janine Flock chatting with Maria Oliver. Big smile on Maria's face as well. Winner last week, bronze medalist here this afternoon. So she is very happy. That's her first 2 World Cup races of the season for Maria. Very impressive performance. Sophia Griebel, Janine Flock, Tina Hermann. So the Germans had 3 sliders in the top half dozen. And again, that's not something they've been getting so far this season. 3 in the top 10 has been a struggle at a couple of tracks. There's Lizzie Arnold, your race winner.
Change planes.
Also a fantastic race for Joska LeConte in 7th place. By far her best ever World Cup result.
Yeah, that's a big, big result for her. A new livery, clearly, he's going to stay on the sled because that's a bit of a good luck charm. Well, next week we move on to St-Moritz in Switzerland.
Yes,
then La Plagne in France and Eagles in Austria before the final World Cup race of the season, which will be in Sochi in Russia. So racing every week now, and then a week break to train up for the World Championships at the end of February, first week in March. That's in Winterberg in Germany. Of course, that, of all tracks, is Joska LeConte's home track. So she's going to have to hope to try and keep this run of form alive and star in the World Champs in March. Koenigsegg, Bavaria, stop 4 on the FIBT Viessmann World Cup Skeleton Tour. Tina Hermann, Sophia Griebel still 1-2 ahead of Janine Flock in the women's rankings. But Anya Huber-Selbach with a silver medal here moves up to 4th. Lizzie Arnold, the winner, up to 5th position. And Elizabeth Vache sitting out of the race here after injury in Altenburg, drops from being World Cup leader after Calgary down to 11th place. That's what missing a score does for you. Coming up from the opposite direction, Maria Oliver, who missed out on the first 2 races. She's had a win last week and a bronze medal here today. And let's get down and see our top 3. The flower ceremony down on the finish dock, just in front of this big crowd here. There is your bronze medal finisher, David Tomatis from the FIBT, handing out the flowers.
Thank you.
Anya Huber, I'm sure, as happy as anybody with her result. And
Thank you very much.
race winner Lizzie Arnold, as ever, overflowing with excitement. Well, big starts from Lizzie Arnold and 2 really strong runs. The first left her 3600ths in front of her closest rival, Anya Huber-Selbach, and the third very nearly doubled that. She finished 7100ths in front. And 2 slides, 52.06, 52.18. Not too far different. Well, she, like everybody else, will be hoping to learn from today's action and the rest this week and improve her performance when they come back next year. That, for most athletes, will be the next time they see this track. That's what makes this sport so difficult, lack of repetition. Well, let's get down now and hear from our top 3. John Morgan is with them.
Okay, a bronze medal, Maria. 2 good runs in Koenigsegg. You must be happy.
Yes, I'm really happy because I'm on the podium again, and Switzerland wait us. Go next week, new competition.
Congratulations, good way to start the season. 2 medals. Hey, Anya, your first medal of the season is a big weight off your shoulders.
Yeah, it is. It's the first medal after a long time, after a hard trip and a lot of time of working. And I'm really happy to be back on the podium here in my hometown. It's my last race here. It's a little bit sad, but I'm happy that I'm back on the podium now.
Great memory for you. Congratulations. Lizzie, another day at the office. Boy, you look really relaxed on your sled.
I think eventually I'm relaxed in Koenigsegg. It is such a tough track. It's taken me 6 years and I've eventually got it. But I didn't know it was Anya's last race, and you know, you're one of the legends that pushed me to be better. So I'm so thankful to all the other girls, and a big thank you to my coach, Eric. I couldn't have done it without him.
Congratulations, ladies.
Well, congratulations to the top three, to all who had a great day here. Joska LeConte, especially 7th place, her best World Cup finish. Thanks to John Morgan and to Ben Sanford for their thoughts and help during the broadcast, and to the FIBT TV crew here. Don't forget, women's bobsleigh comes up, men's skeleton, 2-man and 4-man still to go this weekend here in Koenigsegg in Bavaria. Till the next time, I'm Martin Haven saying thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time out. Bye for now.
Test.